Just days ago, a shocking documentary about Diddy dropped on Netflix. What makes this even more bizarre is that it was produced by none other than 50 Cent himself. The very man who's made it his mission to publicly call out Diddy for years now had his fingerprints all over this revealing project. In this documentary, viewers are given a rare glimpse into Diddy's demeanor in the days leading up to his infamous arrest. For the first time ever, Netflix managed to secure never-before-seen footage of Diddy, a piece of history that was initially filmed by Diddy's own team for what was supposed to be a personal documentary project. But after his arrest, the project was abandoned, and the footage was never intended to see the light of day. However, as fate would have it, the videographers were never paid, and the footage eventually ended up in Netflix's hands. It's a dark twist of fate that led to the release of this documentary. What we see in this footage is Diddy in his final days of freedom, watching as the walls close in around him. And what makes it so chilling is the look behind the curtain. We see the man who once held the music industry by the throat, now grappling with his own inevitable downfall. The documentary paints a picture of Diddy that many have long suspected, but few have dared to voice. He's a manipulator, a user, and a man who will stop at nothing to maintain control. His rise to power, his relationships, and his interactions with those around him, whether friends, lovers, or enemies, all come with a dark, often sinister undertone. From Biggie to Craig Mack, from Tupac to Suge Knight, Diddy didn't just climb the ladder, he used, abused, and discarded anyone who got in his way. And this documentary pulls back the curtain on the very real, disturbing truth behind the facade. The documentary starts by drawing our attention to something strange. The chain Diddy is wearing at the beginning. It's not just any chain, it's a triangle-shaped pendant with an unusual design, a symbol known as the triquetra. This ancient symbol, often used as a protection amulet, instantly catches the eye. The fact that Diddy chose to wear this symbol speaks volumes about his beliefs and the world he's deeply involved in. It's no secret that Diddy is rumored to be involved in the occult, and this chain feels like an extension of that. He's not just a businessman, he's someone who feels that forces beyond this world are guiding his actions. What's even more telling is the footage of Diddy gripping this chain, almost as if it's giving him strength, protection, or guidance. This moment underscores the deeply spiritual, almost dark forces that seem to drive Diddy's every move. As I've pointed out before, there's a spiritual element to the evil that surrounds Diddy. It's a power he believes in, one that seems to fuel his monstrous actions.
What we see in this footage is Diddy in his final days of freedom, watching as the walls close in around him. And what makes it so chilling is the look behind the curtain. We see the man who once held the music industry by the throat, now grappling with his own inevitable downfall. Another shocking part of the documentary reveals the tragic charity basketball game that Diddy hosted years ago. What was meant to be a good cause turned into a deadly disaster. Diddy hyped up the event, drawing in huge crowds, and what followed was a nightmare. With overcrowding and inadequate staffing, the event turned into chaos, and in the midst of it all, people lost their lives. 9 innocent lives, crushed by the sheer mass of the crowd. Yet, Diddy refused to take any accountability. Instead of addressing his role in the tragedy, he went to great lengths to protect himself. The documentary even reveals that Diddy put the ownership of Bad Boy Records under his mother's and best friend's names to shield his assets, knowing that the families of the victims might one day come after him. This moment is pivotal in understanding who Diddy really is. He's not just a man driven by ambition. He's someone who is willing to sacrifice anyone, even those who trust him most, for his own survival. The event may have ended in tragedy, but Diddy's only concern was his reputation. He wanted to be seen as a star, no matter the cost. His refusal to acknowledge any wrongdoing in the aftermath shows the true extent of his selfishness. In the documentary, Diddy is also shown interacting with his fans, smiling and posing for pictures. He comes across as charming, as he always does in public, but the facade quickly shatters when he gets back into his car. Once out of the public eye, Diddy starts complaining about how dirty he feels, as if mingling with his fans is beneath him. He says he needs a bath in boiling water and peroxide. This moment is a stark contrast to the charming image he projects to the world. It's clear Diddy sees his fans as little more than tools, objects to use for his own gain. To him, they are nothing more than peasants, and he's disgusted by them. His public love for the people is all an act. But perhaps the most disturbing revelation in the documentary comes when discussing Diddy's role in the deaths of Tupac and Biggie. For years, the rumors have circulated that Diddy had a hand in both murders. And now, this documentary seems to confirm what many have long suspected. Keffe D, a man involved in Tupac's death, openly admits in the documentary that Diddy placed $1 million bounty on Tupac's head. After Tupac's altercation with Orlando Anderson, Keffe D and his crew tracked down Tupac, ambushed him, and killed him in hopes of collecting the reward. The documentary even features a police recording where Keffe D confirms that Diddy was involved, asking them if they were responsible for Tupac's death. What makes this even more chilling is the claim that Diddy paid $500,000 to a middleman who was supposed to redirect the money to Keffe D's crew. But the middleman kept the money instead, further solidifying Diddy's role in the plot. This revelation casts a long shadow over Diddy's career, showing a man obsessed with eliminating his rivals. But the story doesn't stop there. The documentary goes even deeper, showing just how much Diddy hated Tupac. One particular scene stands out: Diddy's visceral reaction when a Tupac song played during a party. Diddy became immediately triggered, ordering the music to be turned off, showing just how deep his hatred for Tupac ran. This wasn't just about business. This was personal. Diddy's jealousy and envy were palpable. And then there's Biggie. The documentary hints at a chilling possibility that Diddy may have been involved in Biggie's death as well. There's a disturbing history of jealousy and competition between Diddy and Biggie. Diddy was always desperate to be the star, the center of attention, and when Biggie started gaining the recognition Diddy craved, things began to sour. Diddy's actions toward Biggie became increasingly questionable. From allegedly stealing Biggie's cover for Rolling Stone to convincing Biggie to go to California after Tupac's death, the documentary paints a picture of a man who was willing to sacrifice anyone to protect his own image. Biggie, despite all the warnings, decided to go to California. And just like that, he was gone. After his death, Diddy denied any responsibility, claiming that it was Biggie's decision to go to Cali. But those close to the situation paint a different picture. It was Diddy who pushed Biggie into that trip, despite all the risks. And once Biggie was gone, Diddy didn't waste any time. He quickly set out to exploit Biggie's legacy, changing the terms of his contract after his death to ensure he would benefit from Biggie's success. The documentary also shows how Diddy manipulated his artists, including Shyne. In a shocking revelation, Shyne's lawyers were actually working for Diddy, intentionally setting him up to take the fall for a crime that Diddy was responsible for. Diddy used Shyne as a pawn, manipulating the entire situation to protect himself while leaving his artist to face the consequences. But it doesn't end there. The documentary paints Diddy as a man who has never paid the price for the lives he's destroyed. From Tupac to Biggie, from Shyne to Cassie, Diddy has used and abused everyone in his path, and yet he's never faced true accountability. His power and influence have shielded him from the consequences of his actions, allowing him to continue his reign of manipulation. In the end, this documentary serves as a stark reminder of who Diddy really is. He is a man who has used and discarded people for his own gain, never caring about the damage he's caused. He has built his empire on the backs of those he's hurt, and yet he remains untouchable. But for how long? If the documentary is to be believed, Diddy's time is running out. His past is catching up with him, and the world is starting to see him for who he truly is. Diddy's story is one of power, greed, and manipulation. It's a tale of a man who will stop at nothing to get what he wants, even if it means destroying those closest to him. And in the end, the question remains, will he ever face the consequences of his actions? Or will he continue to use his power to escape justice? As we dive deeper into the documentary, we see just how far Diddy would go to secure his own legacy, even at the expense of those around him. One of the most tragic examples comes from the story of Biggie's untimely death. Diddy, who claimed to be Biggie's best friend, is now seen in a completely different light. While publicly mourning Biggie's loss, Diddy never truly took responsibility for the events leading up to his death. Many believed Biggie's murder was a direct result of the brewing East Coast-West Coast beef, with Diddy's role in it remaining hidden for years. However, the documentary pulls back the curtain, revealing how Diddy manipulated the situation for his own gain. It was the decision to send Biggie to California that sealed his fate. Despite warnings from others who feared for Biggie's safety, Diddy relentlessly convinced his artist to go. The documentary shows how Diddy made sure Biggie stayed in California longer than initially planned, isolating him from any support network that could have prevented the tragic outcome. Once Biggie was murdered, Diddy denied any responsibility, instead shifting the blame onto Biggie himself, claiming that it was his decision to travel. But the documentary offers a different perspective. Diddy was the one who orchestrated it, pushing Biggie into a dangerous situation with no regard for his well-being. But Diddy's actions didn't stop there. After Biggie's death, he wasted no time in capitalizing on the loss of his once closest ally. He exploited Biggie's death to further his own career, marketing himself as the grieving friend while reaping the financial rewards. The documentary reveals that Diddy even tried to change the terms of Biggie's contract after his death, further cementing his role as a man who saw others as stepping stones to greater success. Biggie's estate was manipulated, the contract altered, all for Diddy's benefit. The shocking truth is that Diddy never mourned Biggie like he claimed. He mourned the loss of someone who was a means to an end, a way for him to remain in the spotlight and continue growing his empire. And let's not forget the women in Diddy's life who were also victims of his manipulation. Cassie, a young artist barely 18 when she first met Diddy, found herself caught in the same trap. Diddy saw her as a prize to be claimed, someone he could control. The documentary paints a picture of how he used the power dynamic between employer and employee to take advantage of her. Cassie, desperate for success in an industry that could make or break her, felt she had no choice but to comply. It wasn't about love for Diddy. It was about control. He lured Cassie into his world, offering her the opportunity to become a star, only to trap her in a cycle of manipulation and abuse. Cassie wasn't the first, and she wouldn't be the last. She was young, naive, and in a situation where turning down Diddy's advances could mean the end of her career. The documentary makes it clear that while Cassie wasn't completely innocent, she was still a victim. She, like so many others, had no choice but to comply if she wanted to survive in the cutthroat world of the music industry. Then there's Lil Rod, another one of Diddy's many victims. Like Cassie, Lil Rod was lured in by the promise of fame and success. He saw working with Diddy as an opportunity to make his dreams come true. But Diddy saw him as nothing more than another tool to be used and discarded. Lil Rod describes how Diddy was involved in violent crimes, covering up the actions of those around him while using his power to keep the situation under control. After working with Diddy, Lil Rod found himself in the same place he started, still struggling to make a name for himself while Diddy moved on to the next person to exploit. The documentary is a painful reminder of how Diddy has used everyone around him. Whether it's through manipulation, power, or influence, Diddy has created a cycle of abuse that continues to this day. And while he may have been able to manipulate the public and the media, his empire is built on the backs of those he's hurt. As the documentary unfolds, we learn that Diddy's influence didn't stop at his artists and lovers. He manipulated the media, too. He spent millions to control his public image, buying the narrative he wanted people to believe. The documentary shows how Diddy used his wealth and power to convince the masses that he was the good guy, the charming mogul who had built an empire. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he was destroying lives and betraying the people who trusted him most. The people who helped him build his empire were left in ruins, their careers destroyed, their lives shattered, while Diddy's legacy continued to grow. The documentary doesn't just reveal the truth about Diddy's actions. It shows us the larger pattern of manipulation and abuse that he's built his empire on. Diddy has never paid the price for the lives he's ruined. He's never been held accountable for the destruction he's caused, whether it's with Biggie, Tupac, or the countless others who have crossed his path. But as the documentary shows, the walls are closing in on Diddy. His time may be running out, and the truth about who he really is will finally come to light. The story of Diddy is one of power, greed, and manipulation. He has used and abused everyone who's come into his orbit, discarding them when they no longer serve his purposes. He has built his empire on the backs of those he's hurt, and yet he remains untouchable. But for how long? As this documentary makes clear, Diddy's empire may be crumbling, and the truth is catching up with him. What's next for Diddy? Will he finally face the consequences of his actions, or will he continue to manipulate and control those around him? The documentary leaves us with more questions than answers. But one thing is for certain: the truth about Diddy is coming, and when it does, the world will have to reckon with the monster he's become. Diddy may have avoided justice for years, but the time is coming when his empire will come crashing down. The world is finally starting to see him for who he truly is. And if the victims of his manipulation have their way, Diddy will finally pay for the destruction he's caused. Could Diddy finally be held accountable for his dark actions? If you want more behind-the-scenes revelations, don't forget to hit subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going.